It's Sunday night. You're lying in bed, and that familiar feeling washes over you. You know the one. That mixture of hope and dread. You tell yourself, this week is going to be different. This week, you're going to wake up early. You're going to hit the gym. You're going to focus on your goals instead of scrolling mindlessly through your phone. This week, you're finally going to be the disciplined, focused, productive person you know you're capable of being. Monday morning arrives. The alarm goes off. And within seconds, your hand reaches out, not to jump out of bed with purpose, but to hit snooze. Just 5 more minutes. Before you know it, you're rushing through the same chaotic morning routine, arriving at work already feeling behind, and by lunchtime, you're right back in the exact same patterns you promised yourself you'd break. And here's the really frustrating part. You know what you should do. You have the information. You've read the articles, watched the videos, maybe even bought the planners and productivity apps. But knowing and doing are two completely different things. It's like there's a version of you that sets goals and makes plans, and then there's the version of you that actually lives your life, and those two people barely seem to know each other. If this sounds familiar, I need you to understand something right now. You are not lazy. You are not broken. You don't lack willpower or discipline or whatever other character flaw you've been blaming yourself for. What you're experiencing is not a personality problem. It's a programming problem. Your brain is running old software. And until you understand how to actually rewrite that code, you're going to keep getting the same results no matter how motivated you feel on Sunday night. Now, before we go any further, let's talk about why everything you've tried so far hasn't worked. Because if you're like most people, you've been given terrible advice about self-discipline. You've been told it's all about willpower. Just force yourself. Just push through. Just want it badly enough. Here's the problem with that. Willpower is not an unlimited resource. It's more like a battery that drains throughout the day. Every decision you make, every temptation you resist, every time you force yourself to do something you don't want to do, it depletes that battery. This is why you can resist the donut at breakfast, avoid distractions all morning, but by 3 in the afternoon, you're scrolling Instagram and you don't even remember picking up your phone. Your willpower battery died. Then there's motivation. Everyone treats motivation like it's the answer. Get motivated. Watch inspiring videos. Think about your goals. And sure, motivation feels great. It gives you that burst of energy, that sense of possibility. But motivation is emotional. And emotions are temporary. They fluctuate based on your mood, your energy levels, what happened at work, whether you slept well last night. Building your life on motivation is like building a house on sand. The first storm that comes along, and the whole thing collapses. And then there's my personal favorite, the advice to just be more positive. Think positive thoughts. Practice gratitude. Visualize success. Now don't get me wrong, there's value in managing your mindset. But if you're trying to change deep-rooted behavioral patterns with nothing but positive thinking, you're bringing a flashlight to a gunfight. It's not enough. Let me tell you about Sarah. She's 32, works in marketing at a tech company, and from the outside, she's got it together. Good job, nice apartment, solid relationship. But inside, Sarah feels like she's constantly fighting herself. She knows she should be working on that presentation instead of reorganizing her desk for the 3rd time. She knows she should go to bed at a reasonable hour instead of falling down YouTube rabbit holes until 1 in the morning. She knows she should meal prep on Sundays instead of ordering takeout every night and feeling guilty about it. Sarah has tried everything. She's set goals. She's made vision boards. She's listened to every motivational podcast in existence. She's used every productivity system from bullet journaling to the Pomodoro technique. And some of it works, for a few days, maybe a week. But then, inevitably, she slides right back into the same patterns. The same behaviors. The same version of herself she's been trying to escape. What Sarah didn't understand, what most people don't understand, is that she was trying to change her behaviors without changing her brain. And your brain is where all of this actually lives. This is where everything changes. Because in the last 20 years, neuroscience has completely revolutionized our understanding of how the brain works. We used to think that your brain was essentially fixed by the time you reached adulthood. That your personality, your habits, your tendencies were just hardwired into you. You are who you are. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. Turns out, that's completely wrong. Your brain has something called neuroplasticity. Neuro, meaning brain. Plasticity, meaning changeable, moldable, adaptable. Your brain is not a fixed machine. It's more like a constantly updating software system. Every thought you think, every action you take, every experience you have, it's literally reshaping the physical structure of your brain. Here's how it works. Your brain contains roughly 86 billion neurons. Think of them like tiny biological wires. When you repeat a thought or behavior, those neurons fire in a specific sequence. And when neurons fire together repeatedly, they start to wire together. They form pathways. The more you repeat the pattern, the stronger that pathway becomes. This is why habits feel automatic. This is why your first response to stress might be to reach for your phone, or food, or a drink, or whatever your particular pattern is. It's not because you consciously choose it. It's because you've built a neural superhighway that goes from trigger to response in milliseconds. Your brain is just following the strongest path. But here's the beautiful, empowering, life-changing truth. If you build those pathways, you can build new ones. And you can weaken the old ones. Your brain doesn't care whether a pattern is good for you or bad for you. It just reinforces whatever you repeat. Which means if you can intentionally repeat new patterns, you can literally rewire your brain. And this doesn't take years. It doesn't even take months. With the right approach, you can create significant, measurable change in 7 days. Now, I know what you might be thinking. 7 days? That sounds like another one of those miracle cure promises. Like those ads that say you can get 6-pack abs in a week. But here's the difference. We're not talking about completely transforming your entire life in 7 days. We're talking about installing new neural infrastructure. We're talking about creating the initial pathway that, with continued use, becomes your new default. Think about it like this. When a city wants to create a new road, they don't wait for people to naturally start walking that direction and gradually wear down the grass over decades. They intentionally build the road. And once that road exists, people start using it. The more it gets used, the more developed it becomes. That's what we're doing with your brain. 7 days is enough time to interrupt old automatic patterns and install new ones. It's enough time for your brain to start forming new neural connections and for you to experience real, tangible proof that change is possible. The science backs this up. Studies show that focused, intentional behavioral change creates measurable changes in brain structure in as little as 72 hours. So let's go deeper into what's actually happening in your brain right now. Because once you understand this, everything about your behavior starts to make sense. Your current behaviors, the ones you do automatically without thinking, are programs. They were installed years ago. Maybe in childhood, when you learned certain coping mechanisms to deal with stress or criticism. Maybe in your teenage years, when you developed social patterns to fit in or protect yourself. Maybe in your early 20s, when you were figuring out how to handle freedom and responsibility. Think about Michael. He's 28, runs his own digital marketing agency, and by all external measures, he should feel successful. But he has this massive procrastination problem. He'll have a big client project due, and instead of working on it, he'll suddenly decide his email inbox needs to be perfectly organized. Or he'll research new project management software for 3 hours. Or he'll deep clean his apartment. Anything but the actual important work. For years, Michael thought this meant he was lazy. Or self-sabotaging. Or maybe just not cut out for entrepreneurship. But when he really examined the pattern, he traced it back to 4th grade. He had a teacher who publicly humiliated students when they made mistakes. Michael learned that if you don't try your hardest, you have an excuse if you fail. If you procrastinate and turn in rushed work, you can tell yourself it would have been great if you'd had more time. It's a protection mechanism. His 9-year-old brain installed that program to keep him safe from humiliation. And now, 20 years later, that program is still running. Every time he faces something important, something where his real abilities might be judged, that old circuit fires up. Avoid. Distract. Protect yourself. This is what's happening in your brain too. Not the same program as Michael, obviously, but your own unique collection of outdated survival software. And here's the thing, these programs run on autopilot. Research suggests that about 95% of your daily behaviors are unconscious. You're not actively choosing them. You're just executing code that was written years ago. Now, awareness is important. Understanding why you do what you do is valuable. But awareness alone doesn't change the behavior. You can understand exactly why you procrastinate, why you self-sabotage, why you repeat the same relationship patterns or work habits or self-destructive behaviors, and still keep doing them. Because knowing about the program and actually rewriting it are two completely different things. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go from understanding that you're running old software to actually installing new software. From recognizing the pattern to rewiring the pattern. But first, you need to understand how the machine actually works. Let's pause for a second and recognize what just happened. If you're still with me, if you're still engaged and processing this, something has already shifted. Because you're not looking at your habits and patterns as evidence of who you are anymore. You're looking at them as programs. Code. Software that can be rewritten. That's the turning point. That's the moment when you stop being the victim of your own mind and start being the programmer. You're not broken. You're not weak. You don't lack some essential quality that other disciplined people have. You've just been running outdated code that was installed years ago when you were a completely different person in a completely different situation. And now you have the tools to write new code. But here's the requirement. You have to be intentional. You can't just passively hope things change. You can't rely on motivation. You can't wait until you feel ready. You have to commit to 7 days of focused rewiring. 7 days of catching yourself, redirecting yourself, and installing new automatic responses. So let me ask you directly. What's one pattern you want to delete? Is it procrastination? Phone addiction? Negative self-talk? Emotional eating? Hitting snooze? Avoiding difficult conversations? Whatever it is, hold that in your mind. Because we're about to walk through exactly how to rewire it. And here's the second question. What do you want to install in its place? Because remember, you can't just remove a behavior. You have to redirect the energy towards something new. If you want to stop scrolling Instagram when you're bored, what will you do instead? If you want to stop procrastinating, what will you do when you feel that avoidance urge? You need a replacement behavior ready. Alright. Let's break down the 7-day framework into specific phases. This isn't vague self-help advice. This is a protocol. Follow it, and you will see results. Day 1 and 2 is the pattern interrupt phase. This is where most people try to skip ahead. They want to jump straight to being the new version of themselves. But you can't install new software without first recognizing when the old program is trying to run. So your only job on day 1 is awareness. You're going to identify your trigger response loop. Every automatic behavior has a trigger. It could be a time of day, a location, an emotional state, a person, a thought. Something happens, and your brain initiates the program. For most people, this happens so fast they don't even notice. The trigger happens and suddenly they're already in the middle of the behavior wondering how they got there. So day 1 is about catching that moment. The gap between trigger and response. Let me tell you about Jason. He's 31, works in sales, and he has a phone addiction. He'll be working on an important proposal, and somehow, without any conscious decision, his phone is in his hand and he's scrolling Twitter. He wasn't even aware of picking it up. The behavior was that automatic. So on day 1, Jason's only goal was to notice the moment his hand started reaching for his phone. Not to stop himself. Not to judge himself. Just to notice. And what he discovered was that the trigger was usually a micro moment of difficulty. He'd hit a challenging part of the proposal, feel a tiny flash of resistance, and his hand would reach for the phone. His brain had learned, discomfort equals distraction needed. Once Jason could see that pattern clearly, he could start to work with it. But you can't change what you can't see. Day 1 is about making the unconscious conscious. Your tool for this phase is what I call a trigger journal. Every time you catch yourself doing the behavior you want to change, or even thinking about doing it, write down 3 things. What just happened right before? What were you feeling? And what need were you trying to meet? Don't judge. Just observe. Day 2, you're still in observation mode, but now you're going to add one element. A 10-second pause. When you notice the trigger, when you feel that urge to execute the old program, you're going to insert a gap. 10 seconds where you just breathe and acknowledge what's happening. I'm feeling stressed. I'm about to reach for my phone. I'm aware of this pattern. That's it. You might still do the old behavior. That's okay. You're not trying to be perfect. You're installing awareness. You're creating a pause where there used to be pure automation. And that pause is the crack in the old pathway. That's where the new road begins. Now here's what's going to happen, and I want you to be ready for it. You're going to notice the pattern after you've already done it. You'll be 3 episodes deep into a Netflix binge before you remember you were trying to be more aware. You'll have already eaten half the bag of chips before you catch yourself. This is completely normal. It doesn't mean you're failing. It means the old highway is still strong. Just note it and keep practicing. The gap will appear earlier and earlier the more you practice. Day 3 and 4, you move into the installation phase. Now you're not just interrupting. You're redirecting. This is where your replacement behavior comes in. When you feel the trigger, when you hit that 10-second pause, you're going to consciously choose the new behavior. And this is important, the new behavior has to serve the same underlying need as the old one. Let me tell you about Emma. She's 27, works as a graphic designer, and she has an anxiety-driven email checking problem. Every 10 minutes, all day long, she's refreshing her inbox. It destroys her focus and makes every project take 3 times longer than it should. But when she tried to just stop checking email, the anxiety became unbearable. What if she missed something important? What if a client was waiting? What if something urgent came up? Emma's old behavior, constant email checking, was serving a need. It was regulating her anxiety. It gave her a sense of control and certainty. So her replacement behavior had to address that same need. She created a new protocol. Every hour, at the top of the hour, she'd take 3 deep breaths, do a single focused email check, respond to anything urgent, and then close the tab. Then she'd do a 30-minute focused work block with email completely closed. The breathing regulated the anxiety. The scheduled check provided certainty. The focused work block proved she wasn't going to miss anything important while giving her the deep work time she needed. Same need, control and anxiety management, better solution. Day 3, Emma's new pattern felt awkward and forced. She had to set timers. She had to physically remind herself. Her brain kept pulling her back toward the old highway of constant checking. But she stayed consistent. Every time the urge came up, she'd acknowledge it and redirect to the new protocol. Day 4 is usually the hardest. This is the resistance peak. The new pathway exists, but it's still a dirt road. The old pathway is still a highway. Your brain is going to try to pull you back to what's familiar. You're going to feel uncomfortable. You might feel like it's not working. You might feel like you should just give up and accept that this is who you are. This is where most people quit. But here's what you need to know. This discomfort is not a sign that something's wrong. It's a sign that something's working. You're in the construction zone. Your brain is literally forming new neural connections, and that process feels weird. Think about it like learning to write with your non-dominant hand. At first it feels impossible, awkward, wrong. But if you kept doing it every day, eventually it would start to feel more natural. Not because your hand changed, but because your brain built new pathways. So on day 4, when it feels hard, that's when you double down on consistency. Not intensity. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep redirecting. Keep choosing the new pathway. Every single time you do, you're laying down another layer of neural infrastructure. Day 5 and 6 is the integration phase. This is where something beautiful starts to happen. The new pathway is still fragile, but it's starting to feel less forced. You might notice yourself naturally choosing the new behavior without as much conscious effort. You might catch yourself earlier in the old pattern. You might feel that tiny shift where the new way of being starts to feel like it could actually become you. Let me tell you about Marcus. He's 33, actually works as a fitness coach, which makes this story kind of ironic. He's great at helping other people build discipline, but he had this gap in his own life. Every evening, he'd plan to work on building his online business, course creation, content, marketing. But every evening, he'd end up on the couch playing video games until midnight. Marcus went through this exact protocol. Day 1 and 2, he just noticed the pattern. He realized his trigger was the feeling of being mentally tired from client sessions all day. His brain associated mentally tired with you've earned leisure time with gaming. Day 3 and 4, he installed a new response. When he felt that post-work tiredness, instead of sitting on the couch, he'd change into fresh clothes, make a specific tea, and do just 20 minutes on his business. Not 3 hours. Just 20 minutes. After that, if he wanted to game, fine. The first few days, those 20 minutes felt impossible. His brain kept pulling him toward the familiar pattern. But he stayed consistent. And on day 5, something shifted. The 20 minutes didn't feel like torture anymore. He actually got into flow on one of his projects. He noticed the urge to game didn't feel as strong. And on day 6, he worked for 45 minutes without even checking the time, because he was actually engaged. The new pathway was integrating. His brain was starting to recognize that evening work could feel good, could meet his need for accomplishment and progress in a way gaming never actually did. This is where you start celebrating micro-wins. Because your brain needs dopamine to reinforce the new pathway. Every time you choose the new behavior, acknowledge it. I did it. I caught myself. I redirected. This is working. You're literally training your brain to find reward in the new pattern. And this is also where environmental design becomes important. Make the old behavior harder and the new behavior easier. Marcus deleted the game apps from his phone. He set up his desk so all his business tools were already open and ready. He removed friction from the new pathway and added friction to the old one. Day 7 is verification and continuation. This is where you test the new pathway under normal conditions. You're not in hyper-focused rewiring mode anymore. You're just living your life. And the question is, does the new response show up automatically? It won't be perfect. The old pathway still exists. But you should notice a real, tangible difference. You should catch yourself earlier. You should feel more choice, more control. You should have neural evidence that change is actually possible. And here's what's crucial to understand. Day 7 is not the finish line. It's the beginning. You've installed the new software, but it's still in beta testing. You need to keep using it. Keep strengthening that pathway. The more you use it, the more automatic it becomes. The less you use the old pathway, the weaker it gets. This is a maintenance protocol now. For the next 30 days, you're just going to keep choosing the new pathway whenever the trigger appears. Some days will be easier than others. That's normal. But if you can maintain consistency for 30 days, that new pathway becomes genuinely automatic. It becomes part of your identity. You're not someone trying to change anymore. You're someone who has changed. So that's the protocol. Identify trigger response loop. Insert awareness and pause. Redirect to replacement behavior. Stay consistent through resistance. Integrate and strengthen. Continue and maintain. It's simple, but it's not easy. It requires you to be present, intentional, and consistent for 7 focused days. But if you do it, you will rewire your brain. Not metaphorically. Literally. And once you've done it once you have proof that this process works, you can apply it to any pattern in your life. So what does that actually look like? What becomes possible when you master this skill? Let's take a breath and zoom out for a second. You now have the complete map. You understand that your brain is plastic and changeable. You understand the 3-brain system and why knowing what to do doesn't mean you'll do it. You understand neural pathways, how they form, how they strengthen, how they weaken. And you have the 7-day protocol: interrupt, install, integrate, verify. This is not theory anymore. This is a practical tool you can use starting today. But let me show you what becomes possible when you actually apply this consistently. Because here's the thing. Most people think about behavior change as this isolated project. I want to stop procrastinating, or I want to wake up earlier, or I want to quit scrolling social media. And those are all valid goals. But what they don't realize is that rewiring one pattern creates a cascade effect. When you successfully change one automatic behavior, you prove to yourself that you're not stuck. You're not fixed. You're not a victim of your programming. And that shifts your entire identity. Let me tell you about Rachel. She's 30, works full-time, has 2 young kids, and her mornings were absolute chaos. She'd wake up already feeling behind, rush through getting the kids ready, skip breakfast, arrive at work stressed and scattered, and spend the first 2 hours just trying to feel human. Every Sunday night she'd promise herself, "This week I'm going to get up earlier, have a calm morning routine, start the day right." And every Monday morning, chaos. She applied this exact protocol. She identified her trigger response loop. The trigger was the alarm going off. The response was hitting snooze repeatedly until she absolutely had to get up, which started the chaos cascade. The underlying need was that her body genuinely was tired. She was staying up too late trying to have some personal time after the kids went to bed. So her replacement behavior wasn't just wake up earlier. It was a whole system. She started going to bed 30 minutes earlier. She set her alarm across the room so she had to physically get up. And when the alarm went off, instead of negotiating with herself, she had one simple rule: feet on the floor, straight to the bathroom, splash cold water on her face. That's it. She wasn't trying to become some 5 a.m. superhuman. She was just rewiring one trigger response pattern. The first few days were rough. Day 4 she almost quit. But she stayed consistent. And by day 7, she was waking up without hitting snooze. Not because she suddenly became more disciplined, but because she'd built a new pathway. But here's what happened next. That calm, successful morning gave her more energy. More energy meant better decisions throughout the day. Better decisions meant she felt more in control. Feeling more in control meant less stress eating in the evenings. Less stress eating meant better sleep. Better sleep made the morning routine even easier. One rewired pattern cascaded into better choices across her entire life. And more importantly, her self-concept shifted. She wasn't someone who struggled with mornings anymore. She was someone who successfully rewired her brain. And if she could do it once, she could do it again. That's the compound effect. You're not just changing behaviors. You're changing your relationship with change itself. Within 3 months, Rachel had applied the same protocol to her work habits, her relationship with her phone, her stress responses. She became someone who understood how her mind worked and knew how to intentionally shape it. That's a completely different way of moving through the world. Now let me address a limiting belief that's probably lurking in the back of your mind right now. You've heard that change takes a long time. 21 days to form a habit. 66 days. Some people say it takes months or years to truly change. And there's some truth there. Mastery takes time. Building complex skills takes time. But here's what those timelines are actually measuring. They're measuring how long it takes for a new behavior to become completely automatic when you're using inefficient methods and inconsistent practice. But when you understand neuroplasticity, when you work with your brain instead of against it, when you're intentional and strategic, the timeline compresses dramatically. Awareness can happen in an instant. The moment you see your pattern clearly, something shifts. Installation, creating that initial neural pathway, takes about 7 focused days. Strengthening it to the point where it becomes your default takes consistent practice, usually 30 to 90 days depending on complexity. But you don't have to wait 90 days to see results. You see results on day 1. You feel different by day 3. You have proof by day 7. The reason most people think change takes forever is because they're trying random methods, relying on motivation, and giving up when it gets hard. They're not working with the actual mechanics of how brain change happens. Let me tell you about Tom. He's 26, creates content online, and he struggled with procrastination and perfectionism for years. He'd have video ideas, script outlines, everything planned. But when it came time to actually film, he'd freeze. It needs to be better. I need to research more. I need the lighting to be perfect. I need to feel more confident. Weeks would go by without publishing anything, and he'd feel like a failure. Tom thought this was just his personality. He identified as a perfectionist procrastinator. That was his story. But when he learned about neuroplasticity, he realized it was just a pattern. A very strong pattern, but still just code running in his brain. He applied the protocol. His trigger was sitting down to film and feeling that anxiety spike. His old response was to find reasons to delay. The underlying need was avoiding the discomfort of potential failure or judgment. His replacement behavior, when he felt that anxiety spike, he'd acknowledge it. There's the fear. That's normal. Fear means I care about this. And then he'd commit to filming just the intro. Not the whole video. Just the first 30 seconds. Within 7 days, he'd published more content than he had in the previous 2 months. Not because the fear went away, but because he'd rewired his response to the fear. Within a month, sitting down to film felt completely normal. The anxiety still appeared sometimes, but it didn't control his behavior anymore. And here's what's important. Tom's transformation didn't happen because he suddenly became a different person. It happened because he understood the operating system and learned how to update it. Your brain is changing right now, in this very moment, as you listen to this. Every new idea you're taking in, every moment you're imagining yourself applying this protocol, every time you think I could do this, you're forming new neural connections. Your brain doesn't distinguish between vividly imagined experience and real experience when it comes to forming pathways. This is why visualization works. You're pre-building the road. So let's do that right now. I want you to imagine yourself 30 days from now. You've successfully rewired one major pattern using this 7-day protocol. Maybe it's your morning routine. Maybe it's your relationship with your phone. Maybe it's how you respond to stress. Whatever it is, you've done it. How do you feel when you wake up? How do you move through your day? What's different about your energy, your confidence, your sense of control? Who are you becoming when you're not constantly fighting yourself? And now go 90 days out. You've applied this protocol to multiple areas of your life. You've rewired your procrastination response. You've installed better work habits. You've changed how you talk to yourself. You've built new patterns around health, relationships, productivity, whatever matters most to you. You're not trying to be disciplined anymore. You just are. Not because you're forcing yourself. Because you've installed new automatic responses that actually serve you. The internal battle is gone. There's just aligned action. You trust yourself now. When you set a goal, you know you'll follow through, because you have evidence. You've done it before. You've proven to yourself that you're not stuck, you're not broken, you're just someone who knows how to rewire their brain. That's the vision. That's what's possible. And it doesn't require you to be extraordinary. It requires you to be consistent for 7 days. Now, there's a moment in this process that I want to prepare you for. It's the moment when everything clicks. It usually happens around week 2 or 3, after you've successfully rewired your first pattern and you're watching it operate automatically. You'll be in a situation that used to trigger the old behavior. The stress, the discomfort, the temptation, it'll all be there. But you won't respond the old way. The new response will just happen. And in that moment, you'll realize something profound. You're not fighting yourself anymore. That internal war, that constant negotiation, that feeling of being split between who you are and who you want to be, it's gone. There's just you, operating from new programming that actually serves your goals and values. That moment is quiet. It's not dramatic. But it's everything. Because it's the moment you realize you've genuinely changed. Not just your behavior. Your brain. Your automatic responses. Your identity. And once you've felt that once, you'll want to feel it again. You'll start looking at other patterns you want to rewire. Not from a place of self-judgment, but from curiosity and capability. What else can I change? What else is possible? This is what mastery looks like. Not perfection. Not having zero bad habits or struggles. But having the tools and the knowledge to intentionally shape your own mind. Most people live their entire lives at the mercy of programming installed decades ago by people and circumstances that no longer exist. They think their reactions, their habits, their limitations are just who they are. Fixed. Unchangeable. But you now know the truth. Your brain is plastic. Your patterns are just code. And you are the programmer. So here's where we are. You have everything you need. You understand the science. You have the protocol. You can see the vision of who you're becoming. The only question left is, when do you start? And I'm going to suggest that you start right now. Not tomorrow. Not Monday. Right now. Choose one pattern you want to rewire. Just one. Make it specific. Not be more productive. But stop checking my phone first thing in the morning. Not be healthier. But stop stress eating when I get home from work. Identify the trigger, the automatic response, and the underlying need. Write it down. Decide on your replacement behavior. And commit to 7 days. You don't need to announce it. You don't need accountability partners or elaborate systems. You just need to show up for yourself, catch yourself in the moment, and redirect. 7 days. That's it. Remember Sunday night when you promised yourself things would be different? This is how you actually make it different. Not with motivation or willpower or positive thinking. With strategic neuroplasticity. With intentional rewiring. You're not going to be perfect. You're going to slip back into the old patterns sometimes, especially on day 4 and 5. That's normal. It doesn't mean you're failing. It just means the old highway is still there. Keep redirecting. Keep building the new road. By day 7, you'll have proof that change is real. And if this resonated with you, if you can feel that shift happening even now, you'll want to stick around. Because we're building something here. A community of people who understand how their minds actually work. People who aren't waiting for motivation or perfect circumstances. People who are actively, intentionally rewiring their brains and transforming their lives. So here's my final thought for you. There are 2 types of people in this world. People who know about neuroplasticity, and people who use it. People who understand that the brain is changeable, and people who actively change it. People who consume content about self-improvement, and people who actually improve themselves. The difference between those 2 groups isn't talent, or circumstances, or luck. It's just consistent action. It's 7 days of focused rewiring. It's choosing to be the programmer instead of staying the program. You've already invested 40 minutes into understanding how this works. That's not nothing. That's evidence that part of you is ready for change. So trust that part. Listen to that part. And give yourself 7 days to prove that change is possible. Your brain is already different than it was when you started listening. New connections have formed. New possibilities have opened. The only question is what you do next. Choose your pattern. Start your 7 days. And become the person who doesn't just know how to rewire their brain, but actually does it.